Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is the 19th of September and I'm back after been traveling a little bit and what a day it has been yesterday, especially after the rate decision from Fed that maybe caught a few with a little bit of surprise. So what actually happened and what impact did it have on the market? What we could see is that here on the S&P 500 spiked to all-time high but just closed just below it. But if we are looking at what is going on at the US 500 CFD slash the index future, well, we can actually see that it has it is pushing higher today. So currently very close to new all-time highs, and it's likely to push higher towards 5,558. And maybe even higher. We can see here RSI is currently above the 60 threshold. There's still a little bit of divergence here as this RSI level here is a little bit lower than over here. But if it does close above, well, then we could see potential higher levels in the future. Currently, it is testing it, so that's a key thing to watch. Will it close above yesterday's peak? And will RSI also close above its previous higher value? Nasdaq had a little bit a tougher time yesterday, got rejected at the 786 retracement and resistance at 19,623. RSI still a negative sentiment, but let's have a look at what's going on with the here pre-market, where it actually is pushing a little bit higher. And it is currently trading above the resistance here, just above. We needed to adjust this a little bit. Here we are, 19,630. If it can stay above, and if we can get RSI back above 60 threshold, well, then we could see a test of previous all-time highs and a little bit of resistance here around 20,219. But the key will, of course, be previous all-time highs. Moving on to EUROSTOXX 50. That is struggling a little bit. We still have this bearish engulfing in play, top and reversal, but we have bounced strongly to the 61.8 retracement and this little gap area here. If it does close above 49.13, I think we'll see a push towards taking out and cancelling this bearish engulfing pattern here. It did materialize, it did come into play, but now it seems it's really trying to get back above here. So if it closes above there, and if we get the RSI to close above 60 threshold, well, then expect a push higher. The DAX index also fairly strong, and it's very close to its all-time high actually. Just a little bit short of it, just a little bit below 19,000. It has closed for now, closed this gap area. But if we close below the 18,747 level, well, then we could see a sell-off again coming back. But for now, it seems okay. If we stay above and do close above later today, well, then expect in the coming days and weeks, and it will probably try to take out its all-time high. And then there is a potential higher for that. So this is the level to keep an eye on for now at least. On the Amsterdam index, trying to close this gap here out to 909. It's actually 908.85, but 909, that will really confirm that we are back in bullish trend. And also if we can get RSI back above 60 threshold, but we can see it struggling, really struggling at the moment, maybe due to the fact that it's not semiconductors run this show at the moment. Semiconductors is really not running the show. It is other indices or other sectors run the show, including a little bit of banks, but also real estate, home builders, obviously, companies like that, and some healthcare. If we get the Amsterdam index AEX closes back below this little support here, 896, I think we will see downtrend resuming towards 878, possibly a little bit lower. CAC index, well, it jumped this morning. Key resistance 75.75. If it can close above that, well, then there's potential up to 77.25. And also, if we get RSI back above 60, then it could push to that level. But if it's being rejected, well, then it'd be caught range bound here in this area around 75. Swiss market I would say it's range bound here between 12,100 and 20 and 11,875. I want to see a break out of that. If it can break out, well, then to the upside, then we're talking 12,250 and possibly a push towards 12,500. But it really needs to close above 12,120. Let's just adjust that a little bit here so we can actually see this is the key level to watch out for. And let's have a look at the FX market and euro dollar that has really been on the move. It bounced from the 61.8 retracement at 110 and almost all the way up to 112. It got a little bit short up there, but it seems like we are resuming a bullish trend. If we can get the RSI to close back above 60 threshold, currently as we can see it is actually just above it, then I think we'll see the euro dollar pushing higher in the coming weeks towards next resistance at 112.75, maybe even higher here, 113 and in the next few weeks. If it takes out 110 to the downside, well, then we're looking at 109.48 level. 84 is still the key level to watch out for on euro sterling. It seems like this one is obsolete. It can't really get back above the 55 moving average. So 84 is currently again being tested, and if it does take it out, well, then I think we will see 83.50, 83.40 fairly quickly, and that could be swift, to be honest. And looking at the cable sterling dollar, well, we can see how it's pushing higher, so something has to give. I mean, it's a timing issue. Euro dollar, euro sterling, and cable, they can't move up all of them. One have to go down, but it's a timing issue when which one will have my money. Well, not that I'm invested, but my money is on the actually on the euro sterling to push lower. We have the cable that spiked just above the previous high here, and I think we'll see another push higher. There is a little bit divergence on the RSI, however, but if it does close above 132.65, then I think we'll see cable pushing higher in coming weeks towards 134.75 area, 134.30 in this area here. Very short term, longer term, we will see higher levels on cable. I'm sure we are in a bullish trend, as we can also see here on the weekly chart. That is it is pushing higher. Let's get it updated here. There we are. We can see it's actually pushing higher here on the weekly after taking out these resistance levels here. So, and there's just slightly a divergence and not much to mention of. So I think we will see cable pushing higher in coming week. Dollar yen, well, it bounced from around the 140.25 support. We can see here, highlighting here, we got a doji, we got what we call a doji morning-like bottom and reversal formation. We should see a bounce. We also saw a bounce almost all the way up to 61.8 retracement, but it is really struggling to follow through. If it takes out the lows here from the 16s at 139.57, well, then expect a push down to 138, and we can see here on the weekly was actually going up 140.25, really strong support level. But if it takes out the lows there from the 16, well, 138, 137 is next level to watch out for. Euro yen, well, the hammer formation is still in play. It didn't close below it, so it hasn't really technically cancelled it. Finding support here around 155, strong bounce towards the 61.8 retracement. That will be a key level towards 160, and a little bit that if it can get back above that, well, then there is potential up to 162.5, maybe even 164. But as we can see here, 100 moving average come down, the 55 moving average come down, kind of putting a lid on it. If it takes out 150 level, then downtrend will resume. 153 is the next level to watch out for. RCM, after bouncing around the 61.8 retracement and 93 key support, it is now testing the 61.8 retracement, this downtrend here at 97.45. If it can close above this little resistance area here, well, then there's potential back up to 99.90, but I'm not quite sure we'll get there. I mean, the key will be, can RSI get back above 60 threshold or not, or will it be rejected, and will Aussie yen also slide back lower? And that will be key here the next few days. Sterling yen also bouncing strongly, very close to the 61.8 retracement, just below 190, 189.75. Also more or less the same picture as Aussie yen. 60 threshold needs to be closed above for establishing a bullish trend, but for now I trust that we are in a bit this bounce that could take it to 189.75, possibly 191.40 area, but then we have the strong key resistance up here, and I think we just need to adjust that a little bit. So okay, just to highlight how it is, we also have the moving averages coming down here, kind of putting a lid on, so they'll be a struggle, and we have the 200 also lying flat there, also giving some resistance. Aussie dollar pushing higher, taking out the spike up there from August. Bounced from the 66.40 level we talked about last week. 68.70, I think it will be reached here fairly shortly, and there could be a push towards 69 in the coming days and coming weeks. If it takes out the lows from today, which is just around 67.37, so I would say 67.35, always give it a little bit or take a little bit away. If it takes out lows from today, well, then we are back down here in this area around 66.50. But as you can see, moving averages are pointing higher. Finally, the dollar Canada pair actually got up to the 38.2 retracement, only to be hammered back down, and then you see spiked a little bit higher. And I think we'll see it resuming downtrend towards 134.50, maybe even lower here in the coming days. It really needs to take out the spike from today, 136.50 to push higher. So that could be your kind of your stop if you're short here. And you can also see RSI in a negative sentiment could resume downtrend. If RSI moves back below 40, well, it will confirm that we are the downtrend in dollar Canada has resumed. I had a viewer, a subscriber, last week, I think it was, asking me about sterling Canada. Normally not looking at it. I did it back then, and I would just to mentioning again, it is keeping its uptrend here, and it will so as long as it stays above 176.80, and but it is fragile. As we can see, there's a minor divergence here on the RSI, so it is a little bit fragile, but again, the trend is your friend, so as long as it's pushing higher here without taking out that level, well, keep to it. Swiss franc, well, a mixed bag actually. We have your Swiss pushing higher, key resistance 94.50, and if we can get RSI back above 60 threshold, well, then there's potential higher. But you can also see a 100 moving average come down, 200 coming down, 50 also coming down. So they're kind of putting a little, but it is not unlikely we could spike up to around this 61.8 retracement at 94.81. and 95, maybe even spiking up there. So that would be key here the next couple of days. Look out for this level. We can also this flat line here, which is the upper part of the cloud area, that will also be a bit of resistance. It really needs to close above that, and it needs to confirm 60 threshold to be broken and closing above. Otherwise, we are not seeing Euro Swiss pushing higher, and then it is likely to resume downtrend. Dollar Swiss, I would say range bound between 83.75 and 85.40. It needs to break out of that range for any meaningful direction. Well, dollar index spiked just up to the 61.8 retracement here at 101.10, resuming downtrend now, and it could push lower. And where can it move to? Let's have a look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart is telling us it's currently trading around the 200 weekly moving average, where there's a little bit of support, but look at all these moving averages just breaking over here. I think we could see a push down to 99.22 if it takes out the 100 level once again, and then, well, maybe even down to 98.63 here at the on the dollar index. So really bearish at the moment, but if it takes out the spike up today at 101.18, well, then there is potential up to 101.86. New all-time highs in gold that spiked higher yesterday after the rate decision, but closed a little bit lower. Actually, after, you can see that's actually quite interesting here. We have this kind of rising wedge-like pattern here with the upper rising trend line. It's not strong, it's just a guideline, I would say. It's bounced above, broke above all-time highs, got down, tested it actually from the other side, and that is a key thing to watch. So you can also see, as we talked about, it's just spiked to touch 2,600 and then a little bit, a few pips higher, 35 pips higher. And if we can take out that spike up of all-time highs from yesterday, well, then there is potential higher in the coming days. But there is actually divergence here on the RSI. These RSI values here from the past few days are actually a little bit lower. It's hard to see, but it's actually a little bit lower than back here. You can see 70.04 and 69.48. So actually there is still divergence. If we see RSI closing back below 60 threshold and the lower rising trend line here, well, then we could see a correction lower on gold, and that scenario could play out if we take out the lows from yesterday at 25.46. So let's say 25.45, just to give it a little bit of leeway there. And moving on to silver. Also very volatile yesterday, spiked a little bit higher, got back down below 30, then back above, and I think we will see the resistance here at 31.55 being taken out with a push towards 32.50, possibly higher. If we can get it back above here, we still have the 161.8 projection of this corrective move here, and kind of a double bottom pattern that actually has reached its target. So as long as you stay above the 29.70, the uptrend is intact. If we're pushing back or sliding back lower here, well, then I think we'll be caught range bound, but we have all moving averages coming up. It's actually supporting the bullish trend on silver, quite nicely. Copper is, as we speak, pushing above a resistance here at 432.90, RSI above 60. If that is also the case at the end of the day, well, then there is now potential higher towards 468. Strong resistance up here. You can see this after breaking this falling channel pattern. It tested it, always tested it on the other side, and then we have a push higher, and that's what we sometimes see. We have these throwbacks and pullbacks and all that. But we are in a confirmed bullish trend if we can have RSI to close above the 60 threshold later today. WTI, crude oil bouncing strongly. We're still below, as we zoom in a little bit here, we still have this triangle that it broke out of it, and as I said, now we have a little bit of a pullback up to test the underside of this rising trend line here, and possibly test the 61.8 retracement at 72.89, and then I actually think we will see crude oil resuming downtrend being rejected. But let's talk about it when we get to there. If we do that, we are in a bearish trend on the weekly chart, but a strong bounce on the very short term. More or less the same picture on Brent crude oil. Hasn't bounced that strongly, but it's nearing the 50% at the 75.14. Could push up to around 76.80, 76.65. We're still in a bearish trend on the medium term, and I think it will resume after possibly testing this lower rising trend line. US 10-year Treasury yields, well, it actually rised yesterday after the rate decision, and it continued a little bit, spiking a little bit higher today. Strong support here around 360, spiking below just a little bit of support here. But for yields to push higher, it needs to break this upper falling trend line. We could see a spike up to the 61.8 retracement if that break occurs, and possibly higher towards the 385. But for now, it seems like it's sliding a little bit lower again. We do have massive divergence on the RSI, so we could actually see a little bit of a higher bounce. So keep an eye on this falling trend line. We could have a move up to around 380. If it can't break above it, well, then we could see a sliding lower towards the 360. If it takes out 359 to be exact, well, then there is potential down to 355, and on the bigger picture here to the 333 level. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day. Talk to you again tomorrow.